Welcome back to my channel, everyone. So in this video I'm just going to be talking quickly about a few things that people with eating disorders wish that other people understood. So let's get started. One, even if you appear healthy, you may not be physically and mentally. This goes along with being, just if you look healthy, if you're at a healthy weight, mentally you may not be, and I think that's something that I wish people could understand, because I feel like people, when they say they have an eating disorder, society has made it seem like we need to be stickly thin and we have to look like a ghost and all that, but that's not the case. It's a mental disorder. It's all in here. Second one is recovery is long and hard, and it takes a lot of strength, and people assume that, you know, you eat one meal and suddenly you're recovered. No, recovery is a process. It can take a very, very long time. In some cases it can take up, I don't know, to 7 years, I think. And even when you feel like you're mentally recovered and physically recovered, eating disorder still lingers, and it will come up every now and then, but it's just learning ways that you can cope with it. The third one, which is one that I found, is how lonely eating disorders make you. I have become a hermit in my own home. It does make you extremely lonely. You isolate yourself from society, you hide away, and it's not our fault, the mental illness which is causing it, but it is such a lonely disorder, and I think it's important that people who don't suffer know that we're lonely. I've mentioned this in my first video, but choosing to recover from an eating disorder is a choice. So we can make that choice, but we don't make that choice to develop an eating disorder. And I think that's so important, because I have definitely found that people feel like I chose to have an eating disorder, and it's ridiculous, because I think, no, I didn't just wake up one day and decide, oh, I want to have an eating disorder, okay, let's do it. Like, no, that's not how it works at all, and it's not a choice. However, on the positive, you can choose to recover, and I think people who suffer sometimes feel like they don't have a choice to recover, but trust me, you do. And if you are struggling, I really hope that you do choose to recover at some point when you feel like you're ready to, because you can't force someone to recover, it's up to them. Basic things for us, like going out for a meal, just going out the house for a walk, meeting up with friends, are such big deals for us, and it can be a massive struggle, and it's really difficult to try and act normal in these situations when your mind is screaming at you and you're trying to work out how to not panic and have major anxiety in these situations. But I just want people who don't suffer to understand that these are such big deals for us, and it may be small, like just going out the house and posting a letter and coming back in. That will be the highlight of our day, because that is a struggle for some of us, and I want people to understand that. Being weight restored doesn't mean that you've beaten your eating disorder. I found this a few years ago when I first attempted recovery, and I gained all my weight back, and my family suddenly acted like everything was fine and that I didn't have a problem anymore, but mentally I was worse than I was when I was underweight. And I think that just proves that, yes, okay, when you gain weight, you gain mental clarity, you do gain some positive things, but it doesn't mean that you've beaten your eating disorder. It's a mental disease. It's not a physical thing. Not a physical thing. Being underweight is just a symptom, and it just annoys me. Eating disorders are serious diseases with life-threatening consequences. I feel like there's not enough information out there about eating disorders and how dangerous they really are. People don't realise that people die from these, and it can ruin your life. It can ruin your family's life. Family is completely different to how we were before I had an eating disorder, because, you know, we weren't worrying about food and going out for meals, but now we're kind of tiptoeing around it, and I feel like there needs to be so much more information, and eating disorders need to be taken so seriously, because it's a dangerous disease. We're not selfish, but it's our eating disorder that's selfish. Our eating disorder will take everything away from us, and we will come across to others as selfish, self-obsessed, and just plain arrogant. But that's not us. That is how our eating disorder is portraying us, and I want people to understand that it's not us. Eating disorders dominate your whole life. It's not just meal times, it's thoughts, it's actions. Everything you do is dominated by this voice. Especially with my family, meal times were when they thought the eating disorder was present, and they would always leave me for the rest of the day but be around me at meal times to make sure I'm okay. But it's not just meal times that we struggle, it's the whole day, it's all night, it's 24/7. I just want people to know that. And just because I decided to recover, and just because I am in recovery, doesn't mean the eating disorder thoughts aren't still there. They don't just suddenly disappear the moment you eat a bowl of cereal for the first time in like 3 years. That's when the eating disorder is going to be there the most, and I feel like in recovery the eating disorder is going to be its loudest, because it's not going to want you to recover. But you have to just... It's so hard. I don't know how to explain it. You just have to push past the voice and realise that recovery is so much more worth it than living a life of just plain misery. Everyone's experience with eating disorders or mental health is different. When I first was diagnosed with an eating disorder, my mum read stories online and thought that every story that she read was exactly the same as mine. But it's important to know that we are all unique, and we are all original, and we all have different stories, and none of us will have the same story. We all have different triggers, we will all struggle with different things. It's completely different, and everyone has their own story. The last one is that we can't see ourselves the way others do. I don't know why I've chosen to talk about this last, but I always feel like I look completely different to people than I actually am, especially if I'm having a photo taken. I'll be like, oh no, I look gross, blah blah blah, and self-hatred will just go around in my head. But then when I look at the photo, I look completely different to how I thought I did, and it's really hard, because I feel like with like body dysmorphia or anything like that, that when people tell us how we look, it's hard to believe them, and our thoughts and our feelings can determine how we think we look that day. I don't know if that makes any sense, but if we're having a really good day, we'll probably feel a little bit more confident in our appearance. If we've, you know, put on some nice clothes or whatever, we will feel more like positive. But if you're having a bad day, then all those negative thoughts will just make you feel like you look horrible, and you just feel like you look bleh. But then other people will look at you and think you look absolutely beautiful, but it's all in here, and we can't see ourselves the way others do. So yeah, these are a few things I wish other people would understand about eating disorders. Sorry it wasn't very long, but I'm literally about to head out the door, so I had to quickly film this video, and I didn't have long to plan it. But I hope this was useful for anyone who knows anyone who's struggling with an eating disorder, or if you're struggling with an eating disorder, maybe show this video to someone to maybe help them understand what you would like to tell them but maybe you're too afraid to. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.